The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes. Hello and welcome to the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. We're at Zandvoort in the Netherlands and we're taking a look at our Superlights classes. There are two groups in Zandvoort, Group 2, the Radical SR8 and CN prototypes, and Group 3 with Radical SR3s and the Praga R1s. Both are a battle between pure engine power and agility and handling. There will be a Group 1 as well, and that will likely feature the upcoming LMP3 cars later on this season. Well, we'll take a full look at Race 2 shortly, but first, highlights of Race 1 and a chance to meet some of our front runners. For the second year, Dutch TV presenter Rob Campus has again entered Group 2 with his Radical SR3. After a disappointing mechanical failure-filled year last year, the car's been completely rebuilt. But why has this experienced racing driver decided to compete with the Radical?
Waarom heb ik voor de Radical gekozen? Omdat deze auto gaat zo...
Why Radical? Well, because the car's got such great downforce. Speed going into the corners is amazing. It's like a Formula 3 car with the aerodynamics and the engine power. Here at Zandvoort, at the end of the straight, there's a white line just before the 50-metre board. And there I'm doing 200 kilometres an hour. And that's also where I have to brake. I tell you, every lap I get to that point, it's just as scary as the very first time. You're planning to hit the brakes, but in your head it seems too late. So you take a deep breath, hit the brakes, and it's always spot on. The most spectacular thing you can drive. I've driven GTs, that's fantastic. And the starting grid in the GT division is great. We're a bit jealous of that in Superlights. We'd like to have more rivals. But for pure driving pleasure, this is the closest thing to that you can get.
Gisteren hadden we de eerste race, zaterdag.
Yesterday was the first race of the season. 15 laps in, the gearbox broke, so that was the end of my encounter. And then my brother and my son drove off to Calais, where they met the guys from Radical. They brought some spare parts over, so they worked on the car yesterday. I've got no idea at all if it'll work in today's race. Maybe I'll be lucky and everything will go all right, and then that'll be an interesting race for us, hopefully. Of course, we're aiming for the podium, nothing else. A new season means all sorts of adjustments to the car. It also means creating a perfect seat for the driver. He's got to sit in a special bag of foam, not everybody's favourite task.
Och man, eindelijk past het stoeltje.
Well, finally the seat's ready, at least I hope so. I haven't driven with it yet. In the first race I had the wrong seat and I was too loose in the car, so in every corner your ribs are banged into the side of the seat. So to compensate for that you start to hold the steering wheel really tight. After 15 minutes I had cramp in my hands, no feeling in my arms, so really needed this new seat. Of course that means wearing a silly plastic bag and sitting in a bag of foam. Everybody makes fun of you, but the important thing is the seat will be ready and hopefully I'll be comfortable in today's race. Well, there's not just one seat in the Radical, you can also fit in a second, and that gave Rob and his friends the chance to give sick kids a ride around the track during the breaks between the racing, organised by charity Big Heart.
Ja, Groot Hart voor mij is soms wat zo'n weekend.
Well, Big Heart's very special to me, says Rob. If you got one of the horrible weekends where everything goes wrong, it makes it all worthwhile. The smiles on the kids' faces and those of my friends make it incredibly happy, and that really makes my day, even if the racing is bad. Well, there are smiling faces to start the day, but you don't just hop into one of these super fast cars. First you need a very extensive briefing from Rob.
En we doen het altijd zo. Duim omhoog.
So kids, this is how we do it. Thumbs up to the driver if you want to go faster. You're in control. So show me your best thumbs up. Excellent. Of course, a helmet and a seat are fitted before you go out onto the track. And it's all a great day out thanks to the Big Heart organisation. Well, the Big Heart charity organises this racing day for sick kids, kids with cancer, kidney or heart disease, cystic fibrosis, other illnesses. But this isn't about their health conditions, it's what we can offer for them. It's a complete racing experience. And we called it Big Heart because racing drivers tend to be quite big-hearted, brave during the races, but you have to have a huge heart when it comes to these kids. They never refuse to drive the kids around. And the kids, it's amazing how they deal with their serious medical conditions. They've got enormous heart too. Very moving. This is one day where they don't have to worry about their illness, and it's a great day out for them. They really enjoy a full day of racing and fun. Well, it's not just the Supercar Challenge drivers taking part. Robin Friens has also joined in. The Caterham F1 Formula 1 test driver has travelled to Zandvoort, where 5 years ago he raced here in Formula BMW. Now he's back in a Radical. This is something different from all the serious business of Formula 1. In Formula 1, it's all about doing your job, doing it seriously, but today is also very important. It's great to make other people happy, says Robin. Well, sharing your passion for motorsport is always fun, especially when you're an idol to most of the kids. Everyone gets to drive along for a couple of laps at top speed with their hero, and that's most definitely going to take their minds off the daily routine of medicine and worried parents. And Big Heart would like to thank all the volunteers and, of course, the Circuit of Zandvoort for making the experience possible. Well, back with our Superlights competitors, the return of Rhesus Racing with Rick van Geffen and Vito Rademacher driving a Radical SR3. What are their expectations?
Nou, die zijn wel hoog gespannen.
Well, hi, says Vibo. It's the first time we've each had our own Radical. Our main sponsor made it possible for us to go out and buy a second car, so now we can race each other as well. Looks like it'll be a great season, and it all started well.
Als je mij zou moeten kwalificeren, dan ben ik...
If you had to describe me as a driver, I'm kind of a fighter. I'm always pushing hard from start to finish. Maybe I'm a little bit too enthusiastic. Sometimes it goes a bit wrong. I think that's part of racing. I think that's part of sport. You've got to give your best. Competition in the class is very strong. Every time we're on track, we're getting better and better, and that makes it really exciting. Well, Rademacher and Van Geffen have a simple goal this year: to beat last year's champion Ko Kapian. He won the title at the penultimate round in Spa, despite technical dramas early in the season. 2014 has started well for him as well. He got pole for both races, won on Saturday and took fastest lap in the class. So he is still the man to beat in the category. Yeah, guess so, he says. I think it all comes down to having the car handling right. The cars are all the same, but you can really work on the tuning and the setup, especially in the first round of the season. It's always a little bit of a start from scratch, but it went well. And that surprised me a bit. I haven't driven since October last year. Had to put a lot of effort to getting back into the rhythm and the feeling I had last year. In the first race of the weekend, it took me a few laps to get back into shape. That was enough to win, but certainly not confident yet. So hopefully today will go better. We'll see how it goes. In Group 2 this year is the Praga R1 from Slovakia that made its debut last year. The high-tech sports car has the same power as the SR3. It weighs a bit more, but it's got incredible aerodynamics that give it great lap time ability.
We call it that this class by itself. Yeah, it means that we don't copy nothing, and we did exactly something which we feel that it must be. It must be nice, it must be pretty, it must be fast, and it must be cheap for running cost, and it must be easy to run for the drivers. And from this point it's very unique, because we show everybody yesterday that we are able to run a 208 Slovakia ring, which is very nice lap times. The car is very easy to drive. We present yesterday 3 drivers, 2 professional, 1 amateur. The 1 amateur which sit in the car absolutely first time, and when you saw the lap times, there was in 1 second, all 3. It means that this is a real presentation of this, that not only professional driver are able to drive that car, but also amateur could play with that car.
Newcomers in the Superlights class, Noel Kohler and Carlo Cuya, have entered a Praga R1. So is it easy to drive?
Nee, je kunt er zo in rijden. Alleen,
no, not really. You can step in and go quickly, but you need the experience to get the last couple of seconds. And compared to the guys who have got experience in this car, well, it all comes down to, I guess, the biggest balls. You really need to push hard, especially braking late, carrying speed into the corners. Contradicts everything you know about racing. Common sense tells me I'm already braking really late, but according to the data, you can brake much later. So it just comes down to flooring the throttle at points where you would really like to lift to generate better downforce. Let's take a look now at the Group 2 cars, prototypes with more horsepower and better aero. They're also the fastest of the Superlights here, with the Group 1 cars scheduled to join the season later on. Runner-up last year, Henk Thies, is back with his Radical SR8 RX. He won Saturday's race, showing that the 430 horsepower, 680 kilo Radical will be the car to beat this season. Out of luck, sadly, were Hank Hahner and lady driver Naomi Schiff. They've entered the Italian CN Tartus prototype, but their engine management failed to work properly. Even the Italian experts couldn't fix it, so the weekend was over before it began. But they'll be back during the second round at the Nürburgring. Well, another CN prototype is the Wolf GB08 of Bas Schouten. They had more luck, second in race 1 with 19-year-old Bas Schouten behind the wheel. He took pole for both races, but underpowered against the SR8, his 260 to 430. Despite better aerodynamics, he lost out in a straight line, but he's feeling confident.
Ik heb laten zien dat ik hard kan rijden. Ik duik onder de 1:40.
Well, I've shown him very quick in this car. I was under the 1 minute 40 mark. In qualifying, I did a 1:39.4, which is the fastest the car's ever been around Zandvoort, apparently. So that's great, but apart from that, it was really a race of my own. There's no one to compete with, which is a bit of a shame. Well, the first round of Zandvoort won't be remembered for the biggest Superlights grids ever, especially when last year we had over 30 prototypes starting at Spa. Will we see these kind of grids again in 2014? We caught up with series organiser Dick Van Elk. Well, we certainly expect bigger grids. A few teams told us they weren't ready with the modifications for their cars. 2 car needed new fuel tanks to meet the regulations for this year. We received a few messages from foreign drivers who couldn't make it here because we race on Saturday and Monday because of the Easter holiday. So hopefully we'll have more entries at Nürburgring from the UK, Italy and France. And which class will get more entries? Well, we'll welcome a lot of CM prototypes and some new radicals, hopefully. Yesterday I read that maybe James Hunt's son might join the Supercar Challenge. And there's a new LMP3 class coming. Manufacturers will be looking for somewhere to test their new cars. And the Superlights class will be the perfect venue for that. Exciting new developments on the way then for Superlights. But first we'll take a look at the second race of the weekend at Zandvoort. Despite a small grid, the battles were fierce, the competition intense. Stay with us after the break. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes. We're at Zandvoort on the Dutch North Sea coast as the grid awaits the arrival of the Superlights class for their second race of the weekend in the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. So dry, blustery conditions, around 16 degrees, ideal for open sports cars. And again, just like the first race by Schouten in the Bas Schouten Racing Wolf GB08 on pole position, checking the weather forecast on his smartphone. Nothing much to worry about. Second place alongside him, the winner of race 1, Henk Thijs, watching things other than the weather. A small grid here for the first round at Zandvoort, but more cars coming for round 2 at the Nürburgring. So the Wolf GB08 of Bas Schouten pacing the field from the Radical SR8 of Henk Thijs, the more powerful car. Co-copying Rick van Geffen, Rob Campus, Barry van Elk in the lead. Praga, the little closed Slovakian sports cars. And Vibo Rademacher, in fact, driving friend Rick van Geffen's car after problems with his own. So away they go. 50 minutes plus 1 lap should be a 29-lapper around the fast Zandvoort circuit. Rushing down to the first corner, Henk Thijs taking the lead in the more powerful SR8. The Wolf of Bas Schouten in second. We go inside Barry van Elk in that white Praga who tries to close the door. The 2 cars make a little bit of contact. This is the battle for 6th place. Van Elk looks as though he'll carry the speed. Lead 2 clear of the reigning champion Co-Coppian in 3rd. Barry van Elk goes through into 6th position then. Battle for 4th, Rick van Geffen right in front of us as we ride with Rob Campus. Using all the aerodynamics around this sweeping circuit that the Radical can produce. Lots of high-speed aero grip. And as they've all been telling us, the aerodynamics on these cars defy the normal logic. The faster you go, the more grip you have in the corners rather than less. Counterintuitive, you've got to learn how to get the best out of these cars. See third place Co-Coppian in front, the reigning champion in his SR3. Campus looking for a little move on the inside there. Didn't quite have the run that he needed. and he's still piling on the pressure. And there's the battle going by for 4th and 5th. And they're ahead of Barry Van Elk, and here comes Vivo Rademacher down into the braking area for the S's. Doesn't quite manage to get through. Praga right on the edge as well, and again they get very close through the Arie Luijendijk corner. Around the outside goes Vibo Rademacher. Well, they did say you need big cojones to drive these cars, and that was a big cojones move around the outside. He goes up into 6th place. Well, Vibo keeps his nose clear of the Pragas. The white car, Barry Van Elk, in 7th, and Noel Kohler, who starts that blue and green car, in 8th position. The Group 2 leader Henk Thees in the Radical SR8 leading the race. Bas Schouten in 2nd place, also in a Group 2 car, the Wolf GBO8. Fastest in qualifying, but not as quick in the race. Well, replay of the start shows power versus aerodynamics. Schouten drills the throttle, but the big V8 in the Radical just blows him away in a straight line. Henk Thees' fastest lap time, a 2.5 quicker than Schouten. Not bad for the almost 70-year-old racing veteran, who's 50 years older than the man we ride with chasing him at the moment. So not just 2 different cars, but 2 drivers at different ends of their racing careers. If Bas Schouten continues as long as Henk Thees, he'll be racing until, 2075 and beyond perhaps. So Henk Thees leading the class and still doing a great job in the Radical SR8. In Group 3, it's 2013 champion Ko Kopian out in a race on his own. He won on Saturday, and he's ahead of his rivals now by some way. Well, that's not just down to his speed, that's because his competitors are in some pretty tough battles. 2nd place Rick Geffen has just managed to shake off the white car of Rob Campus, and Campus has now got Vibo Rademacher breathing down his neck for 3rd in the class, 5th overall. The pressure starts to tell. Everybody's a little rusty this first race weekend. A mistake there in what used to be the Renault turn. As Campus slides wide, Rademacher happily picks up the spot. It looks though as though the battle is far from over as Rademacher clings tenaciously to his tail. Each car has to come into the pits during the race for a mandatory 1-minute pit stop, but if you've done well in the previous races, or in this case race 1, you add seconds to your pit stop as an extra handicap against the better cars and drivers dominating. It helps to regulate budgetary and technical advantages. Well, that's not good news for Barry Van Elk in the all-white Praga R1. He's not up to speed. He's got a problem with a left front wheel. You can't just change tyres. You only get to use 10 slicks in the weekend, so he's had to use a tyre from qualifying. He finished 4th in race 1, so no added result seconds. The team's ready, he continues, and hopefully the tyre will hold up as he picks up speed. Carlo Cuya awaiting his stop, hoping the race will remain dry. There was rain predicted. The wind has turned though, so it's good news for the Superlights drivers. In comes Noel Kohler, 6th in the race. Not what he was hoping for, but he's got the least experience of all in the Praga. Carlo Cuya has at least done some pre-season testing with the car. Not least of the trouble is squeezing in and out of the tiny cockpit. They too have no added result seconds, so getting in and out is going to be vital. While his teammate gets ready to rejoin the race, let's hear from Noel. He's used to GT cars in this championship, so what does he think about the Praga? I guess it feels pretty different. Completely different, he says. Braking later than you can imagine, and that takes a lot of practice. High corner speeds also take a lot of getting used to, but I guess practice makes perfect. Here is the battle for 6th position after the pit stops. Barry Van Elk in the white Praga. Rob Campus now behind him in the Radical SR3. So he lost ground during the pit stops. Let's see if he can find some more ground. And a mistake there from Barry Van Elk. He gets wriggly over the curbs. This is for 4th place in the Group 3 class. And that's well taken opportunity there from Rob Campus. He moves up to 6th place on the road. Rick van Geffen dropped back behind Vido Rademacher because of more result seconds for him. Because he took over Rademacher's car, he also has Rademacher's result seconds. Every deal has a bit of a negative, I guess. Every cloud has a silver lining, or the other way around. They're battling for second in class. Almost a big contact there in Tarzan. Just got away with that. And the friends and rivals continue to scrap around the circuit. Down into the braking area once more. This time not quite close enough to have a lunge. That means Vibo will have to remain behind for the moment. Race 2 victory goes to Henk Thees, 1.4 seconds ahead of Bas Schouten in a tight battle. Well, I didn't have new tyres at the start, says Henk. You noticed that right away because of the lack of grip. I paid the price for that. 50 minutes is a long time. Bas had a few problems with the paddle shift apparently in his first stint, so that was good luck for me. A few more laps he'd have had me though. I saw him closing the gap. It was close. Kokapian wins in Group 3, his second victory of the season, taking every point home with pole and fastest laps. Everything went according to plan, he said. The start was great. Tried to stay with the leaders in Group 2. Of course, they're quicker, but I tried to stay with them, and that allowed me to pull away from the guys behind me who are having their own battle. Perfect weekend. Well, perhaps the highlight of Race 2 was the battle in Group 3 between Rick van Keffen and Vibo Rademacher.
Ja, het was echt heel erg spannend.
Really good fun, says Vibo. Rick really closed the gap despite him being a teammate and a friend. I was determined not to let him by. I think he was a bit quicker than me today, but I blocked every move that he made. Turned out to be a massive battle right to the checkered flag. Got to say, it was the best battle I've had so far in the championship. It was great. Well, that's it for round 1 of the Supercar Challenge by Pirelli at Zandvoort. Next time out will be at the Nürburgring in Germany, and it's already looking to be a thriller. Supercar Challenge will join Acceleration 2014 at the German track. This new international event brings silhouette and formula racing back to big European venues. With identical machinery in the pickup and the Legends classes, battles come down to driver skill, door handle to door handle, bumper to bumper, and the noise is provided by the 550 horsepower V8 single-seaters in FA1. Nation battles nation as drivers wrestle their mighty mounts around the track. What really makes Acceleration different, though, is the parties. On Friday night, David Hasselhoff presents an 80s and 90s classic party with Rick Astley, 2 Unlimited, the Venga Boys, and other blasts from the past. On Saturday, it's dance night, bingo players, Cosmic Gate, Alice DJ, and more. Looking for a great day out? We'll visit Acceleration at the Nürburgring on the 23rd, 4th and 5th of May. And of course, we'll bring you a full report on round 2 of the Supercar Challenge, powered by Pirelli. Until then, thanks for joining us. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes.